Hey, this is Mike. Thank you so much for choosing this video. Today I'm in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, visiting East Coast Honda, and I'm checking out a 2021 Honda Ridgeline in the Sport trim level. This Ridgeline is sitting on 245/60 Firestone tires with a little bit of an off-road look this year. Wrapped around 18-inch alloy wheels with a gloss gray finish. It also has four-wheel disc brakes with ventilated rotors in the front and solid rotors in the back. The name of this color is Crystal Black Pearl. And this is a very gloss black vehicle. There's lots of glossy, dark surfaces to keep clean. So if you like washing your vehicle, this will be the ideal color. It is a nice looking vehicle though when it's clean. And so that's enough about the color. Now here on the front, it is redesigned. So in previous years, from 17 to 20, the front end basically was the same thing as the Honda Pilot. So now we have more of a truck-like look. They tried to make it look more like a truck. And it's just cosmetic, basically. Now we do have these wheel well ventilations here on the right side. The grille, you can see the grille is taller than previous years, but the upper portion is just blocked off. So you can see it's not adding any more cooling or anything. It's just simply for looks. The hood kind of bulges and this grille is taller to make it look more like a truck instead of a Honda Pilot with a bed. And I noticed that this hood kind of overlaps here. You can see it's not completely flat. I don't know if you can tell, but basically this like comes up and stops right there. So it's kind of like it has a little bit of a lip on the hood. And at first I thought it was misaligned, but you can see this is lined up pretty good. So I guess that's meant to be that way. Now the emblem serves as the radar adaptive cruise control, a radar sensor behind that emblem. And it has this black, so the grille in this lower part is a flat black, so that's a little bit of a contrast with the gloss black. So if you can, hopefully you can see that. It'll be more pronounced in a different color vehicle, but since we're dealing with a black vehicle, it's kind of blends in a little bit too much. So you can see it kind of goes around here. The turn signals are standard bulbs. Your headlights and your fog lights are LED now. The low beams are in a projector, LED powered now. But the high beams are still halogen and a reflector housing. You have a gloss black bezel around the headlight. This outer portion looks like an LED daytime running light, but it is on higher trims, but this one in particular does not. So that's a similar as previous years. They kind of skimp out on certain things, and I'll show you that throughout the vehicle. You know, it's not a cheap vehicle, and there is some features that seem like they would be included, but I'll show you as we go through. But so it has the LED now for your fog lights, and the fog lights are really low. You can see them down here, and they're in a little focused beam, and they're the actual beam is very low, so it's actually hard for me to pick up on my camera. I have to put the camera really low to get the view of those. So it's very sharp and low fog light, which is pretty good because you want the light to go under the fog, and that's basically the point of fog light. So so that's good. It looks pretty cool as well. So there's a profile view of the front end. So in the prior years, this would just kind of slope down. It would be more of a sharper slope. Now it comes straight out and then straight down, more squarish and more truck-like. Taking a look at the profile here, everything gloss black. The side, the handles, the side mirrors. What's interesting though is that this pillar here in the middle is gloss black, but then this trim piece here and around the outside is a flat black. So I mean, it does solidify the glass with that gloss black in the pillar. And if you were to tint the front windows, which, you know, from the factory it comes with a privacy glass in the back, so if you tint the front, it kind of blends all that in. It'd look really nice. And then you have that matte black plastic that we saw on the front grille that continues around each wheel well here on the bottom, around the back and all the way around. There is some mud flaps here as well, here and here, and that kind of helps out pretty good with road debris slinging up on the side of the vehicle, even though they're not that huge of mud flaps. And the doors go all the way down to the bottom, so that threshold is sealed up. This is what the key looks like, and it's a full proximity system, so you can just keep this key in your pocket and use the vehicle 100%. It does have a physical key on the inside, and it's rounded off and relatively easy to kind of slip in your pocket and keep with you. The only problem is the weight, because it has this big chunky chrome piece on the end, this like solid metal. The rest of the key is very light. So if they were to do away with that big chunky metal piece, maybe make it polymer or something a little bit less heavy, or whatever, but I think it would be a little bit better, because it does have a little bit too much weight for its size, and really it doesn't need to be that huge chunky piece of metal there. But as long as you have this key with you, you have the ability to lock, unlock. It does have remote start, so you have to push the lock button and hold that for what seems like an eternity, like 10 seconds or whatever, to remote start the vehicle. You also have a panic button here. So it has a nice strong horn. That's nice. But as long as you have this key with you, it can be in a bag in your pocket. As long as it's within a few feet of the outside of either the driver or the passenger side door, you can lock the door by pushing this button. To unlock it, you simply put your hand behind the handle. It senses your hand position, it senses the key on the outside of the door, and it unlocks and allows you access to the vehicle. You also have a physical key location here on the driver's side only. Taking a look at the inside of the passenger side door, mostly black interior as well. It does have this gray strip of accent strip here, and you do have some contrast stitching as well. This is a soft touch surface here at the top, soft kind of Nerf synthetic material. This is also a soft touch, and then this is more like a vinyl type soft touch material. This is enclosed, so you can utilize that as a pocket. Now it has a hard surface on the bottom, so if you put change or whatever in there, when you're, got the speakers cranked up or you hit a bump, it's gonna rattle in there. And then you have the shelf system. I really like the design of this door because you have multiple places. So you can put stuff here, you have the shelf here, a place to put a bottle here, and a little pocket there as well. And then you have another storage space here at the bottom. So also the water bottle holder is here in a more forward position. So as you're sitting in the vehicle, your hands are more forward than back. And so that's a nice spot to put it. It's easy to access. Plus it's wide up in here above it, so you can access it easier. Really well thought out door. I would recommend though, if they were to add some kind of felt lining or soft lining in some of these pockets, it would help out with rattling when you have this, the speaker here in the door is turned up and it's vibrating the whole door. Things tend to rattle in those hard touch surface pockets. Okay, so I mentioned that the door goes all the way down, so you can see that here. Goes all the way down, it seals up that threshold to keep road debris and dirt from getting in this area, and hopefully not getting your clothes dirty when you get in and out, basically is the idea. Manually adjusted cloth seats on this vehicle. So you have this cloth with some stitching, a little bit different style cloth there in the middle, and the black on the outside. And it's got a little armrest that you can flip that up as well. It's got it on both the driver and passenger. Seats are pretty comfortable. Just kind of normal. They don't really cause any problem, or they're not like super special either. The floor mats are not in the vehicle yet, but it does have the place for them to snap in place. Plenty of leg room here in the front. This is a hard touch surface here, and then you get into the softer touch here on the dash. There's more of that accent that continues there in the center part. It does have a locking glove compartment, and it kind of flops down, and just smooth plastic on the inside. Not a major special glove compartment, but it's decent size. And since this is the Sport, does not have a sunroof. In the 2020 model, they increased the swing of the back door, because before it wasn't swinging out so wide. So last year they fixed that problem, and you can see it's basically the same as last year as far as the openings here, plenty in the front. And since there's a smaller opening in the back, you still have a decent amount because they have that swing of the door out a little bit further, which helps out. The inside of the back door has different styling. Hard touch here, pretty much everywhere except for this area right here on your armrest is all hard touch everywhere. This is enclosed, and then you have a bottle holder, place to put stuff there, cell phone or whatever, and that's in this higher position and easy to get to for the passenger here in the back. And then the lower portion of the door is just there because it's not really accessible when you're kind of cramped here in the back. You can access it in that higher position better, I think. There is these kangaroo type pockets on the back of both front seats. And then of course we have a bench type seat back here. Very little bolstering, it's just kind of flat. It does have the latch system for car seats, and the little anchors are down in there. Actually, the latch system is right in there. You kind of have to reach between the seat, and then the anchors are behind the headrest up here. There's cup holders and armrest. That flips up in case you need a center passenger. You can see how just kind of flat the seat is. It's not contoured or anything. Now this has a tri-zone climate system, so it does have some vents back here, and then some little storage spaces here as well. And you can notice that the floor back here is completely flat, and that serves two purposes. One is for passenger space, but also cargo space. Also, the swing of the door helps out with the cargo space as well, because these seats actually flip up. So what you could do is you take this, see this pull handle here, lift that, and then you can, and it's kind of spring loaded, so you don't have to, like, you know, lift up too hard. It'll come up for you and snap in place. And so you can do this one seat or the other, add to your cargo space back here while still maintaining some passenger space if you needed. And then it's a 60/40 lift up, you know, seat system. Even with the seats down, you have quite a bit of space underneath the seats for putting stuff, which is nice. But when you lift both seats up, you can really put a huge box or something. I mean, you can like, I don't know, but you can have something like a big long box set back here. And this is helpful for when you don't want to put something in the back of the truck, because let's say there's bad weather, or if you just don't want it stolen or whatever, you can put it back here. Then that way it's out of the weather and it's secure, and it's just a really big cargo area. And this isn't the only cargo area. In the bed of the truck, there's a whole trunk area, which I'll show you as well. Taking a look at the back of the vehicle, there is a shark fin antenna, body colored here at the very top right here. Just below it, at the top of the glass, right in here, is an LED brake light. It's a third brake light in that high position, which is essential in my opinion to have a nice third brake light in the high position so people can see when you're stopping. And you see it's a solid glass back here. Higher trims will have a power sliding rear glass. And you'll notice it has a visible dual exhaust now, making it more like a truck. So it's a dual exhaust tips. It's not a true dual exhaust. There's also a towing package back here. And what I like about this towing package is that it gives you this little label because it tells you what the capacity of the vehicle is without having to look it up. So you can just kind of keep that in mind for this specific vehicle, which is nice. And so it has one plug here, and that's the 7-way outlet. But you notice it's below the bumper. If it was up here, I think it'd be a lot better, but you know, it is what it is, because it is going to get quite dirty there. So every time you access it, you're going to get your hands dirty or whatever. But it does have a towing package, which is nice, and it does have a decent towing capacity and all that stuff. Since it's an all-wheel drive now, all the Ridgelines in 2021 are now all-wheel drive, so you don't have the difference as far as front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive now. It's just all-wheel drive. Okay, so this is, if you're not familiar with the Ridgeline, this is probably gonna be very interesting to you. So as long as the doors are unlocked, I mean. So this is important because the tailgate locks and unlocks with the key. Now they started that last year, and there's two ways of lowering it. So the backup camera is here, by the way, which is a little bit offset, but I'll let it slide. I'm not going to complain too much because it is in a high position and it is integrated well. But let's go ahead and lower this tailgate. Now there's no soft landing or anything. You do have to lower it manually. And it's just a normal tailgate, right? All right, so let's lift it up. We can also open it up this way. There's a handle. You can see it says right there, release under here. You pull that, and then it releases and opens up this way. And it sticks out quite far, so if you're at the grocery store or whatever, or the parking lot, you know, you can keep that in mind. It sticks way out here. And it only opens up to this side, so sometimes it kind of gets in the way. It'd be cool. It'd be really cool if it opens up either way. But that'd be a lot to ask. Okay, so now we have a composite bed. Now this is a plastic material, super strong plastic material. I can't stress that enough. It's amazing how tough this bed is. Even though it's not metal, it's actually, in my opinion, better than a metal bed because it's not a bed liner or anything like that. It's a composite material. And what's interesting about this is, like, when I first got my Ridgeline, I have a 2020. Like day one, I got a load of cinder blocks in the back of this truck. Not this exact one, but mine. And I was like, man, I'm gonna scratch this plastic up on the very first day I got the vehicle. And I put a bunch of cinder blocks in there, and of course the people at Lowe's were helping me loading them up, and they were putting them in there and sliding them in and all that stuff. I'm like, oh no. When I got done, I slid them back out, and I was like, I'm just not gonna worry about it. When I got done, I just kind of wiped down and cleaned the bed. You could not tell. It still looked brand new. There was no scratches or anything on this bed. I was like, how the heck did they make this material so strong that you can slide around cinder blocks on it, a plastic material, and you can't even tell that it was ever done? That's unbelievable to me. Also, for this size vehicle, this is 4 feet from there to there, so you can lay down flat plywood or drywall or anything. So that's ideal. If you've ever, like, you know, like the new Rangers and Tacomas and stuff, if you ever try to pick up anything, you gotta prop up stuff on the side of the bed of the truck and stuff, and it's not good for drywall or anything like that to do that. So so there's plenty of tie downs as well. So you have one here, there in the front, top and bottom. You also have these strategically placed lights on the cargo lights here on the right side and left side. And now they're just standard yellowish halogen bulbs. I replaced mine with LEDs to make them brighter. But the reason why I say they're strategically placed, I'm not forgetting about this, by the way. There's a little cargo space. I'm not forgetting about that. But the reason why I say that is because they illuminate the entire bed. They also, when you lift this up, which is lockable, and it locks and unlocks, and also senses the key. So when the vehicle's locked, you can walk up and push this. Even when the vehicle's locked, it'll sense the key and unlock it for you, which is nice. But you also have a manual lock as well. And it's spring-loaded, so it comes up for you relatively easy. And this is your trunk space and your spare tire. And it is so handy to have this space. And I can get these floor mats out of the way. The thing about this, okay, this area, it stays completely dry. You don't have to worry about a drop of water getting in here, and which is great. I was very concerned about that, but it's not an issue whatsoever. And it's that same really tough material as the bed. And it does have drains, so if you want to put some, you know, ice or whatever back here, you can drain. If water were to happen to get in here, you can drain it out. But no water. I have a carpet on the bottom of mine. It never gets wet. I mean, I've been some serious rain lately, and zero water gets in here. And there's your spare tire. And to get it out, it's really genius, because there's there's thumb screws there, these little wing nuts. Unscrew those, and then you grab a hold of it. There's a handle on both sides. You grab a hold of it and you slide it here, and then it hooks on these things here, and that way it's resting right in the middle, easy access to your spare tire and tools right there. And so that's awesome. Now the downside is, if there's anything in the back of the truck, you will need to unload it in order to lift this up to access it. Also, it's not a full-size spare. It is a kind of donut-sized tire. So that's another thing. If you're towing, you know, that might be an issue. But, you know, you can always buy a spare tire and put it in the truck, I guess, if you need that, if you're towing all the time. This compartment here on the side, it's just basically, it's non-lockable. It's just basically just a little added spot to put some stuff. It is sealed up pretty decently. You can put some stuff in there. On some of the higher trims, it has the option of a power inverter back here. But, you know, it's not lockable. So in my case, I just put maybe some cheap straps or whatever back here. But, you know, it's nice to have a little access pocket back here. But it'd be nice if it was lockable. These things right here, these little tabs, when they're new, they're quite stiff. So you have to kind of get used to that. It'll kind of break them in and they'll be easier to open. Now this does have LED taillights, but the turn signal and reverse lights are standard bulbs. And I have a night video on a 2020, and to show you some of the lighting of the vehicle, so give you an idea of what it looks like if you want to check that out. But the brake lights and the tail lights are LED, the reverse and turn signals are standard. And down here, that's just a reflector. That's not a light. It has a locking fuel door. It's easy to get to the button here. Just press and hold it and it releases it. And it's on the driver's side, which is nice. Also, no cap, completely capless design. As long as the key's inside the vehicle to start it up, you just press and hold the brake and it senses the key inside the vehicle. It could be in a pocket, in a bag, it doesn't matter, cup holder, whatever. And then you just push this button to start it up. Here's the floorboard in front of the driver's seat. It does have a place for floor mats to hook in place, 2 places there, so it keeps it straight for you. Accelerator, brake pedal, foot actuated parking brake. Behind that is a footrest. And it's kind of like not really that great. The footrest is okay, but there's something area that kind of bulges right there. It kind of gets in the way. It's a little bit uncomfortable sometimes. So you have to put your foot a little bit to the right. So it's okay. It's better than no footrest, but it's a little annoying sometimes. Okay, so let's take a look under the hood. To open the hood, there is a latch a little bit to the left of center. So there's your center. Just reach in a little bit to the left, move it to the right, and then lift up. Now the hood's got a little bit of weight to it. It feels like a steel hood, kind of heavy, especially with this bulge here on the front. Makes it a little bit heavier, I guess. And you can lift it up. It does require a prop to hold it up. There's the prop. You can swing it up to that arrow. You can see that's pointing at that hole. You can put it there, or you can defy what they tell you and go to the secret spot, which is down here. It's not really a secret, but it's fun to think it is, and put it there. There's no arrows, so that's why it's a secret. And this gives you a much higher position, and it holds the hood up much higher and gets it out of the way. So yeah, see how high that hood is? You will have to be able to reach it in order to do that, but you know, it gets it completely out of the way. You can like pull the engine out without taking the hood off right now. Okay, so it does have some insulation on the underside of the hood. There's also a seal across the front as well. I guess with that overbite on the hood, I guess it kind of helps air from flowing in to the hood area and messing up your aerodynamics. There's also a seal across the back here as well. Kind of helps out with airflow, also noise, that kind of stuff. And there's a insulated firewall back there as well. These strut towers, suspension towers here, are braced in with the unibody structure of the vehicle, so it kind of keeps it solid. And you see there's a bar that goes from one side all the way to the other, kind of solidifying that. And there's the plastic cover Now it does have a like a foam material on the underneath it, underside of it, to keep noise down and stuff like that as well. The battery is over there. I don't know if you can see it, it's kind of hidden. But there's the battery underneath this thing, this intake thing. So this is a V6, 3.5 liter V6 VTEC, 280 horsepower, and it does have the variable cylinder management, and that way it can disable 3 of the cylinders, and then when it doesn't need all the power. So it's kind of interesting. It tries to save fuel, but it's not really the best on fuel. Now it does have the 9-speed automatic transmission. They started doing that last year, just putting standard 9-speed automatic transmission. It's the ZF 9-speed. It's a decent transmission. You know, it doesn't like to be run cold. When it warms up, it runs better, but it's fine. I mean, it works good. So if you're not familiar, the Ridgeline is not a traditional truck, okay? It is primarily a front-wheel drive vehicle. Even though it's all-wheel drive, the front wheels are the primary drivers. That's why the engine is sitting this way. So this is actually the front of the engine, and that's the back. Then you have 3 cylinders here, 3 cylinders there. And so basically, and the transmission's over there. Traditionally, trucks have the front of the engine here, and it's a rear-wheel drive system, which it has a drive shaft that goes to the back. So this is much, much different than any other truck in the US market, where it has a primarily front-wheel drive system, and the all-wheel drive is in addition to that. So in previous years, they actually had front-wheel drive only and not all-wheel drive. So it's a front-wheel drive system, just like the Honda Pilot is what it's based off of. Now the driver's side door is just like the other side, except for it has a few more buttons. Now you notice there's a reflector here. It'd be nice if it had a puddle light, but it doesn't. Okay, so your power windows, the front 2 are 1 touch up and down. So we can just 1 touch, make it go up and down. The back windows, you do have to hold them to get when you go down or up, but they do go all the way down, you know, so they're not like the type that goes halfway or a little portion down. It goes all the way down. And your door lock controls are here, and then your fuel door release, and then you have the normal pockets like on the other side. Now the driver's seat, it's a manually adjusted seat, but the only difference between the driver and passenger is it has this height adjustment. So that kind of makes it a little bit different. To the left of the steering column is a few buttons here. So starting at the bottom, this is your road departure alert system. You can turn that on or off. It also has like a road departure mitigation, so it might slap on the brakes on you if it thinks you're going off the road. And then you have the forward collision warning system. Traction control default is on. You can turn it off here. Same thing with the forward collision warning. And then the cargo lights in the back, you can turn that on here. This is just a blank button. And then you have your side mirrors. You can adjust it here. You just pick a side, adjust it with that little pad. Then you have an econ button, so you can tell the vehicle that you want to save gas and take a cut on horsepower and climate control capability. Has a tilt and a telescoping steering column that you lock in place here. Okay, I'm sitting in the driver's seat checking it out, and I have the seat all the way down and all the way back to give you an idea of what the legroom's about. And actually this is where I normally drive, basically all the way back. And because the legroom, for one thing, it isn't automatic, but I can reach the pedals just fine. I'm 6 feet tall, and this is where I normally drive. And so the knee room is good. Now this is a hard plastic here, so if that's an issue as far as like that, but see, it's so far away from the accelerator pedal, so it doesn't seem to be an issue for me. But if it is, that's a hard plastic, just to give you an idea of what that's about. Now the steering wheel, it has a synthetic material steering wheel here on the Sport. Higher trims will be leather, the ones that have leather interior. And this is has a nice soft touch to it. The texturing kind of simulates, I guess, a leather texturing, but it is a synthetic material. And you know, it's through and through, there's no coating on the outside. And it's like it's that type of material that's very easy to clean and durable. So it's great for a truck especially, and it looks nice. There is paddle shifters here, and this isn't to be sporty. This is mostly for limiting your high speed when you're, driving down a hill or something like that, or when you're towing, maybe you got some extra weight in the back of the truck or something like that, and you need to downshift. This has 9 gear ratios, but that's the only way you can downshift is using the paddle shifters. Okay, so you do have some buttons here on the steering wheel. Volume for your radio, change through your tracks or radio station, change your source. This button up here, it just cycles through. In this particular case, all it does is go through your phone or to the radio, and you just rest on the one you want. It's not really super useful. I don't find it that useful, but it is there. And then this button pops up to change the options and what the steering wheel does, the buttons on the steering wheel does. So you can push that, and you can utilize these buttons a little bit different than what they're set up for. And then this is, once you pair your Bluetooth phone, you can answer, hang up. This is also a back button for certain screens. And then voice recognition is down here. I don't find the voice recognition very useful, but because it's functionality, it doesn't tend to recognize what I say, but maybe you'll have different experience with it. And these buttons here correspond with the screen between the gauges. We'll get to that in just a minute. Now this has the adaptive radar, adaptive cruise control, and also your lane keep assist. So it actually turn the steering wheel and keep you in the lane. To turn this whole system on, you push the main button. You can set, resume, and cancel like a normal cruise control system, but it also has this button and this button. This will set the distance between you and the vehicle in front of you, so it'll actually slow you down if somebody in front of you slows down. You can't turn that off, so you have to use this radar feature. Now the lane keep assist, you can turn that on or off here. It only works when the lines on the road are clear and it can see it. So you can turn that on or off if you need to, and it's not too intrusive. It does a decent job of keeping you in the lane. I mean, it's a little bit lax compared to other systems, but that's kind of good because it's not fighting with you while you're driving. But if you get too close to the lane, it does kind of bump the steering wheel, and it gets a little annoying sometimes, so I'm glad they're able to turn that off. I wish that you can turn the radar part off on the cruise control. That would be nice as well, because sometimes there's just certain times where I just don't want to have that on, but it's just automatically on when you have the cruise control on. Okay, so the gauges here, you have a combination of physical gauges and digital. So you have a physical tachometer, RPMs there on the left side. On the right side, you can see there's the fuel gauge on the bottom and engine coolant temperature on top. Nice big digital speedometer there on the top, which is really nice. And then you have the screen. Now the screen you can get information there. It's not always there. Use these buttons here. So let's go ahead and push the up button. So it'll show oil life, tire pressure, and then fuel economy information and range. And you have 2 of those that you can reset independently. And then you can change the kilometers per hour. And of course you can have the blank screen there. Now, it does also have a, right in here, kind of not easily seen, but right in here is the dimmer switch for your gauges. So you can change the brightness of these gauges. So there's not a huge amount of information here, but it is handy, and it's not nice and clean. Like, there's not a lot of junk here. So you can see the speedometer easy. You can see the key gauges that you need to see, and you can keep the center screen blank if you want, or you can cycle through and get that very useful information like the range and stuff like that. It's real easy to quickly push the button and go to your your tire pressure or something. There's only a few options, so you're not like scrolling through a whole sub-menu system while you're driving trying to see something. So it's really easily accessible and easy to find there on the screen. So I think they did a pretty good job. Windshield wiper controls here on the right side. And on the left side is your turn signal, of course, but it also has your headlight controls. You have off, parking, automatic, and headlight there. And then here is your fog light. You can turn that on or off. So they added, for 2021, they added this volume knob to the system. So they kind of tacked that on there because people did not like the way that it didn't have a volume knob. You actually had to slide your finger on the screen and push buttons on the steering wheel in order to adjust the volume. And, you know, it's usually okay to do that. But there's times in which you just want to quickly turn the volume down, you know, like for whatever reason. But it's not... You just can't do that quickly by pushing buttons. You know, you got to push and hold the button, and you still got to wait, and it'll kind of do its thing. But being able to just kind of like quickly turn a knob is so much easier and intuitive. So I can understand why people wanted to add that knob back to the system. All right, so we have some soft touch buttons here on the left side, and so we can push the home button. You can see it has some tiles. It kind of looks like a cell phone, where you have the tiles. Go ahead and swipe. You can hit the arrow, or you can swipe. And it has a digital clock there, which is nice. And you can go in these quick access stuff. Now, the smartphone connection does have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto capabilities. You just have to plug in your phone in order to utilize that system. It's not super advanced, so in my case, I don't even use it unless I specifically need the navigation on the screen. Other than that, I don't even use it because it does disable some stuff. So like say I want to play music off of YouTube app on my cell phone, as soon as I put the Apple CarPlay system up, I can't do that anymore. So it just kind of limits my capabilities. Or at least it changes the way I'm used to it, and it does it in a way that's more inconvenient for me. That's why I don't use the Android Auto system. But, you know, you might be used to it, and it might be great for you. Okay, so once you pair your phone, you have access to all your phone book and all that stuff. Let's look at the audio here. So you have your presets there at the bottom. It just kind of shows you your information there as far as what you're playing. You can change the source here, and it'll pop up all your options. So you have AM, FM, Bluetooth here, USB, iPod, auxiliary input, and of course your projection, which is your Apple CarPlay, Android Auto stuff. All right, we can go back out of that. Let's go back to our home, and we can go. Honda Link is pretty interesting. It's an app on your cell phone, and it gives you more, you know, features and stuff for your system. Now, this particular vehicle doesn't have a lot of options. Some other Hondas have the ability to, it has more options, but this one's more limited, and so it depends on what you have. Let's go into settings. This actually is like an old Android device, and they haven't updated this. This is like super duper old school. So you have like these, it's like, I forget what it is, but it's like a jelly bean or something like that. All right, so let's go into settings here. And then of course you can go into all your settings. Vehicle settings, maintenance information, which is nice. So you can, in this particular case, is just showing your oil life, and you can reset it here. Some of the other systems will give you more information than that, but you can adjust your lighting, the way the doors lock and unlock, that kind of stuff. So that's kind of a quick rundown of what the radio is all about. It's not like super complex. It's fairly simplified, and that's not I'm not saying that in a negative way. It is simple in a way that's, you know, doesn't give you a hard time as far as trying to figure it out, also distract you from driving. It's just a nice system, and in general, I think, if you like the simplistic style and still have a screen, basically. Okay, so the four-way flashes are here. This is your climate control. Let's go ahead and turn it on so you can see what's going on. Turn the fan down. Now it's a tri-zone, so you have driver and passenger. So there's the temperatures for the driver and passenger. But you also have the capability of adjusting the rear temperature, which is pretty interesting considering the size of this vehicle is not that huge, but it does have that ability to, you know, fine-tune the temperature in the back. You have front and rear defrosters here as well. No heated side mirrors in this trim. And you know, of course, you can sync both. You can change where you want the air to blow. You can sync them both. You can put on automatic and let it handle everything. You just set the temperature, and then you can access the rear like so. You can turn the rear off if you want. Okay, so down here, if you had heated seats on some of the different models, the heated seats buttons will be right here. But this is a little compartment, which is not all that handy. I mean, it's okay, but it'd be really nice if it was just a little bit either deeper or wider, because it is not usable for a cell phone. So you would think, you'd look at that and say, I could put my cell phone there. It's like, no, you can't. Unless you got a small cell phone, it's not going to fit in there. You can't put it in this way because it's not deep enough. It just falls out. And then I can't put it in lengthways, especially considering if you plug it in to put it into your Apple CarPlay Android Auto system. And you have to plug it in here. You can't plug it in the center console back here. So I'll show you that in a minute. You do have to plug it in here, so it takes up your space, especially considering you have a wire here. So there's a 12-volt power supply. That's your input for your USB. It also charges as well. This is how you access the system. And this is a nice rubberized little pocket right in here. Put some stuff, and then you can take this out, clean it, put it back in. I wish all the pockets would have that. And there's the cup holders, but there's no nothing to take up the slack. There's not like little arms sticking out, so you put a bottle in here and it kind of wobbles around constantly. So it'd be nice if it had the little arms that stick out and kind of take up the slack. It is open in the middle, but not enough to where you can utilize this for more of the, it's like you can't put your cell phone here, basically. It kind of like props off to one side, because, you know, especially if you have a case. I guess you could, but it kind of teeters in the middle. If this was just kind of all the way down and wider and just more flat, it would be more useful for other things besides cups, but you can put stuff in there if you want. And it is a hard plastic in there as well. This is what's called the shifter system. And it was kind of like one of those things where it seems odd at first, and you're like, why is there buttons? Weird, this button goes back, that one's pushed down. Why is it like this, you know? And in previous models, it had a shifter on the 6-speed transmission, but the shifter is like this huge thing, and it gets in the way. So now I'm used to this, and this makes it, when I get in other vehicles that have this huge shifter, I'm like, man, that thing's getting in the way. It doesn't need to be, because it's not actually a mechanical system anymore. It's electronic anyway. So I'll just show you how this works. So right now we're in park. To put it in reverse, you pull back on that, and it pops up the backup cameras. Check that out. You can see that it has a super wide view, more linear view, and then a top-down view if you're backing up and, you know, hooking up to a trailer hitch, hooking up your trailer hitch or whatever trailer, and that's kind of a good view. But this super wide view gives you a view of both ways. So if you're backing out of a parking space, if you don't have the rear cross traffic alert system, this is really helpful for, you know, seeing if there's any cars coming. It's really stretched out and weird looking, but it does help out once you understand your visibility distance there. The full range of the fisheye view and where the boundaries of those are. All right, so now we have neutral, and then we have drive. And you push that again, it goes into a sport mode. Push it again, it goes back in the drive, and you'll know what your gear you're in because it'll show here. And same thing if you use the paddle shifters, it'll show the gear that you're in there as well. And then you can actually just turn the vehicle off, push the button here, and if you do that without putting it in park, if you accidentally don't do it, it'll just automatically put it in park for you. But you can of course push the park button. So this button right here is your drive modes. So it has normal, snow, mud, and sand. So you just push the button, it cycles through, and you just rest on the one you want. This is the most annoying feature of all. It turns the engine off. It's this idle stop system. And so when I get in the vehicle, I instantly try to remember to turn that off, because default is always on. and it just cuts the engine off when you come to a stop. And it's like, even if you're not stopping long, then I don't know. It's a system that I don't like, and it's a lot of vehicles. But there it is to turn it off. Just got to remember to turn it off when you get in. Okay, so here's this area here, and you can utilize this space for putting some stuff. And like I mentioned, there is an armrest on each one of these seats, so if you want an armrest, you got that. So this is not that. This is a usable space here on the top sometimes for quick access stuff. But then this slides back like a roll top desk. And then you have this compartment here, and you can see it's very dark. And there is a rubberized part on the bottom, and I wish it was a brighter color, make it easier to see in there. But you can see it's just a hard plastic in there. There's also a USB, let me lift this up so you can see, 12-volt power supply and USB port here as well, but this is just for charging. And there's a little tray, which is nice. This tray is handy because this just slides back in there. So for quick access stuff, it's like a pen or whatever, you could put here and then slide it back out of the way. So if this gets cluttered, like you know it will, then to try to find something that you need all the time is a pain. So having that quick access tray, you just grab it, what you need, and then slide it out of the way, and then all the junk can stay in here, the bigger stuff. So I like that tray. It also is a removable too if you want to take it out and clean it, put it back in. But there's no ability to run wires in and out of this compartment. Most vehicles that have a compartment like this with a charge port inside, they'll have some way of wires to go in and out of the compartment. In this case, there's 0 ways. Once you close this, you have to leave it open basically for wires to go in and out, which is fine, but just want to let you know that. Okay, so the rearview mirror is manual, just a manual day and night mode. You have to manually do it. Kind of surprised on that. There's a couple of things, lots of things I'm surprised. And then you have these tap lights, just kind of, you know, pretty decent lights, I guess. On the higher trims will be a little bit different than this. And right in here, you can see it says on, off, and then door. So that's like turn on all the interior lights, turn on off all the interior lights, or put it in the middle to where when you open the door, it'll turn on the interior lights. Home link garage door opener controls are here. There's also, you see that red light right there? I just turned the headlights on. This is a little ambient light to kind of illuminate the center of the vehicle around the cup holder area. And it does a pretty decent job when it's really low visibility, really low, dark, low visibility and really dark. That ambient light does help out a lot. This is a place to put your shades, but you notice that part, that's where on the higher trims, there's a mirror there. This, they just don't give you the mirror. They give you this whole contraption right here, but not the mirror. All they had to do was slap on a 50-cent mirror and they have that feature, but they intentionally left that out in order to get you to buy the higher trims, I guess. Okay, so here's the visor. It's a cloth material just like the headliner, and it's pretty basic. It does have the ability to shift the coverage kind of over here like that. You can shift it, slide it, and it has a metal rod here. And check it out, mirror but no lights. Isn't that interesting? Same thing on the passenger side. Okay, so let's look at the visibility in the back. So the headrests in the back seat are fixed. So you can take them out. It's not super easy to take them out, but you can take them out. But the visibility's fine. I mean, I find myself driving with no problem. I can look over my shoulder. I can look in the side mirrors. I have the backup camera with the different views. So even with the like rear cross traffic alert or blind spot system or none of that, it's still fine. I can see it's fine. There's not a big deal at all as far as visibility. All right, so there you have it. Thank you for watching, and thank you to East Coast Honda here in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and I'll see you guys next time.